Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to day 9 of the Halloween movie review series. And today I am going to be reviewing Halloween 1. And no, this is not a repeat. You can tell from the title, obviously. This is legitimately not Halloween 1. I already reviewed Halloween 1. It was the first one of the series. I still have to make the playlist for the Halloween movie review series, so I'll make sure I do that when I finish making this video. This is the remake. This is Halloween from 2007. Because they decided to do a remake. Because that's pretty much what, Hollywood's become. Everything's a remake now. I don't know why it's like that now, but pretty much everything's a remake. They very rarely come up with their own original ideas. It's all remakes. They've done it with Beauty and the Beast. They've done it with Jungle Book. They've done it with Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, this movie specifically, and they've done it pretty much with every movie. So yeah, I just think it's a way for the Halloween franchise to make money, and that just seems to be all they're interested in. They didn't really feel like picking up the old franchise. I don't know if I'm really mad about it or not, because the old franchise kind of was starting to lose a lot of credibility after the last few movies kind of weren't the greatest, especially the last one of the franchise. But yeah, pretty much they wanted to, I'm guessing they wanted to remake it too, because the first one was so old. They felt like that it needed to be revamped, even though that's what the best part about the old one is that it's a classic. It's not gonna redo the original, and it didn't. So they decided to do a remake, and this time they brought in Rob Zombie to do the remake. Rob Zombie obviously is a musician. He's also directed and written some other movies. He's done House of a Thousand Corpses, and The Devil's Reject, and yeah, Rob Zombie is definitely, because I haven't seen the other movies, but definitely from watching this movie, you can definitely see that he's one weird cat. He's definitely got a fucked up mind, because he pretty much you can tell that he loves sex, gore, and blood scenes, because that's pretty much what this movie was. It's sex, gore, and blood scenes, and obviously I don't think it really worked in the case of Halloween, this Halloween movie, because that's not what Halloween really is. It's not a blood and gore movie. It's not supposed to be that way, but I will get into that. So yeah, Rob Zombie, I had known he had done this, and I said in my last review that Rob Zombie better do the Halloween series justice, and in my opinion, he didn't. I will get into more why as I review this movie, but I don't think he did the Halloween movie, the Halloween series, much justice. And I don't really want to review this movie because, well, one, it sucks, but I kind of already done that because I reviewed the first movie. So I'm just going to kind of say what was kind of different, what was kind of the same. But I'll kind of talk a little bit about the backstory of this movie. Rob Zombie was approached with the idea to do the Halloween franchise, and he was somebody that was the Halloween remake, and he was somebody that was a huge fan of the Halloween franchise. He watched all the originals, and he was honored to have done the remake. He even went to John Carpenter and wanted him to get his intake on his version of the movie, and John Carpenter said that he wanted him to just make it his own. He wanted him to make it his own film. So he did just that, which was a mistake for John Carpenter to say that. I think John Carpenter just really didn't want anything to do with the project for reasons I talked about in the fourth film. So he just didn't really he just wasn't interested. So Rob Zombie made it his own movie. They started filming the movie around 2007, and they released it on Labor Day weekend. Now that I've kind of discussed all that, let me talk about the movie itself. I said I wasn't going to do a review, but since it's kind of different, I kind of will. But I'm not going to go into detail, because I would say this now. The first hour of the movie pretty much is completely different from the original. the first hour of the movie pretty much goes into Michael Myers' backstory, kind of his childhood, and it's more like a prequel than the last hours they actually the original. So yeah, let me talk about it. So but yeah, let me just say the stuff that I usually say. So obviously, like I've mentioned, Rob Zombie directed this movie. It was produced by Malek Akid, Andy Good, and Rob Zombie. It was based off the writing of John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, and it was released on August 31st, 2007. Yes, I don't know why they decided to release this movie in August. I always have said this, and I'm gonna continue to stand by it. The Halloween movies, I think, should always come out around Halloween time. It gets people excited for Halloween, and I don't know why they've gotten away from that. They've done it for the past 3 movies, I'd say now, and I hate it. But whatever. So now that the movie had a $15 million budget. Now, I don't know if this is true. Because I don't really feel like looking up the other ones, and I don't exactly remember. But I think this is the most budget that was put into the Halloween franchise. And you could clearly tell that there was a lot of budget input in this movie. A lot of the budget probably went into the gore. That's what I'm guessing. Not a lot of budget actually probably went into the storylines and stuff. So, yeah, but this movie had a $15 million budget. So the movie starts off on Halloween Day. Michael Myers, we find out, like I've talked about before, in this movie they went into Michael Myers' childhood and kind of explained what drove Michael Myers. And yeah, Michael Myers, it shows Michael Myers as a kid, and we pretty much find out that his family does not get along at all. He has a very unstable family. His mother, Deborah, is a stripper, and we find out, we're supposed to think that this was his dad, but we find out it wasn't. Later on in the movie, we find out it was actually her mom's boyfriend, and we find out that he's an alcoholic, pretty much, and his name was Ronnie. Michael Myers' sister, Judith, who we know who she is from the original, is a slut. And then we meet the baby, Angie, who's obviously the most normal one out of the whole family. Then what happens is, pretty much what happens is, the family gets into an argument. Ronnie is pretty much just kind of abusive. Michael Myers, we find out, owns rats, and we see that his rat was murdered. We obviously know that it was him that killed it, so yeah. So they go into we find out that pretty much the whole family just is a mess, and it's not a good living arrangement for Michael Myers. So then Michael Myers later on is being picked on at school since his mother is a stripper, and he gets picked on about his family. He gets into a fight at school. The principal comes in and breaks it up, and Michael Myers tells the principal, fuck him, pretty much. And his mother gets called in. His mother's not happy that she continuously gets called in, and pretty much they admit that Michael Myers isn't normal, that he could be psychotic, and she's not happy to hear about this. And then we meet Dr. Loomis, who in this movie was played by Malcolm McDowell. And I'm gonna say this: I thought Michael McDowell did a good job playing Dr. Loomis. It just wasn't the same as Donald Pleasence, though. Donald Pleasence was a much better Dr. Loomis, and he just couldn't outdo him. I thought Donald Pleasence was a much better Dr. Loomis, and he still did good. I thought he had some good scenes, but it just wasn't the same. A lot of the scenes when they tried to reenact his quotes, it just didn't have the same effect as when Donald Pleasence said it. Donald Pleasence was a much better Dr. Loomis, and I didn't really think he was bad, but it just wasn't the same. But yeah, pretty much they find out that Michael Myers has been murdering animals. They pull out this bag of a cat that he supposedly had murdered, and then he has a picture of a dog that he's murdered. And his mom's surprised to hear about this because he loves animals, and they're concerned about this because Dr. Loomis says that normally when it starts off with animals, it could lead to something much worse. And as they're having this conversation, Michael Myers goes and follows the bully that was bullying him and murders him. He beats him up with a stick and completely murders him. Looked pretty gruesome. So obviously we know that the problems are already started. And then later on, Deborah goes off to work. Michael Myers, Judith was supposed to take Michael Myers trick-or-treating, and said she goes up to have sex with Steve, who I don't even know if it was her boyfriend, but I legit have no idea. Michael Myers is upset he can't go trick-or-treating, so then he goes into like a state, duct tapes Ronnie to the chair while he's passed out drunk, and he murders him. Then he cuts his throat, and normally when your throat gets cut, you struggle for breath, but since his mouth was duct taped, I guess he couldn't breathe. So then he goes in and kills Steve with a baseball bat, and then he murders his sister, stabs her 17 times, I think they said. And Deborah comes home and sees all this happen, and she's just in awe. We find out Michael Myers has been charged with first-degree murder, and he goes for 11 months. He goes through an 11th-month trial to try to see if he's guilty. So he gets sent to I always get it wrong, so I want to make sure I get Smith's Grove Sanitarium, where he's going to be evaluated by Dr. Loomis. And Dr. Loomis, throughout this process, it shows him recording their conversations, and Michael Myers seems like a normal kid. He doesn't remember anything that happened on Halloween night. He has no memory of it, except that he was in his mask and eating candy. And then Michael Myers starts making more masks, and he made his mask black. And Dr. Loomis then, when he asked him what color it was, he said black. It's my favorite color. Dr. Loomis then said that black actually isn't a color. It's actually like not supposed to be a color. He went on this big speech about it, and I expected Michael Myers to be funny and ask if he was racist because of the whole black people thing, but it didn't happen. Actually, I was expecting it to happen. And Dr. Loomis, is trying to get through to Michael Myers. He never can. Michael Myers, you can see, is starting to kind of be upset not to be at home. Dr. Loomis tells him he can't go home because he's done awful things, and Michael Myers continuously to make masks. He reveals he makes masks because people don't come to see him, and Dr. Loomis says, well, what are you talking about? You see me every day, and your mom comes in every week. And you can see that Deborah's starting to kind of become depressed with this. It's like she can't deal with it because her son's become crazy and stuff. And Dr. Loomis starts to get worried because Michael Myers starts to not talk for 2 weeks. So then what happens is Deborah comes up one day, hands a picture of Angie, the baby, his baby sister, and him of a picture that they took together. And this becomes very important later on in the movie. So then Deborah and Dr. Loomis go to leave. They leave a nurse to watch Michael Myers. Michael Myers takes a fork and stabs the nurse and kills her. And Deborah starts to get so depressed. This was pretty much her a nail in the coffin. So she pretty much takes a gun and commits suicide, shoots herself. And then 15 years later, Dr. Loomis we see that Michael Myers too has made a ton of masks. There's a couple of security guards and janitors. One of them has been helping Michael Myers. He's been working with him for years. He's on the verge of retiring, and you can see that they kind of have a close relationship, but one of them's just a huge douchebag, and it's actually his douchebagness that pretty much fucks everyone in this whole movie. So, yeah, they take him to Dr. Loomis. Dr. Loomis says that Michael Myers and him have known each other for 15 years. We find out Michael Myers hasn't spoken a word in 15 years. So he tells him that he's got to move on. He can't continuously try to reach someone that can't get reached. So he said that this is going to be the last visit. He says that Michael Myers has kind of become his best friend. So then Dr. Loomis writes a book about this. And he reveals that Michael Myers, he looks like an innocent kid, but you can just see in the eyes he's purely evil. This was supposed to try to redo the quote that Donald Pleasance had said, but it just when he was Dr. Loomis, but it just wasn't, like I said, wasn't the same. So then, I don't know. So then later on in the movie, 2 of the security guards go to rape one of the woman patients in the hospital, and yeah, pretty much then they have this great idea. Let's go to this guy who's been murdering everybody, who's clearly unhinged. Let's go to Michael Myers' room and do it right in front of him and try to make fun of him doing it. Put his mask on. What a great idea that was. But it didn't really work out. Michael Myers kills him. And he escapes. He murders everybody. The janitor that was helping him out throughout this entire movie tries to take him back to his room. Michael Myers kills him, and he repeatedly says that he tried to help him, and he completely murders this guy, and then he drowns him in the sink, and Michael Myers then kills him with a TV, just smashes him. I don't know why he needed to smash him with a TV when he clearly just could have drowned him. That's just totally Rob Zombie going over the top when he didn't need to. Then Dr. Loomis gets called and finds out he escaped. So then Dr. Loomis later on is talking with some other doctors. He gets upset that they let him escape because now he's run wild and he knows exactly where he's going. He's going to Haddonfield. They recreate the scene where Dr. Loomis goes with the grave digger to see that his sister's grave is missing. This time, for some odd reason, they decided to include a dead coyote that was murdered, which was not needed. They could have just shown that the grave was missing, and we would have known it was him. But no, they decided to add that element to it. That was dumb. So then it goes to the real movie. And obviously we now know that we meet Laurie Strode. We meet the whole Strode family. They recreate the scene where Laurie Strode is walking with Tommy Doyle and she has to give the key to Michael Myers, except this time Michael Myers actually comes in. Before that, Michael Myers actually went to a gas station and murdered somebody in there. It was a completely random scene. It would have made sense if he had taken like a car and stole it, but they don't have him drive cars at all in this movie, which is kind of dumb because that was kind of like the thing that made Michael Myers cooler than Jason or Freddy, that he actually, since he was human, he could actually drive a car, whereas Jason and Freddy didn't have the mindset. Well, Freddy probably did, but Jason didn't have the mindset to do so, so I thought that's kind of what made Michael Myers human and stuff. Sorry, my mic came unplugged. Anyhow, as I was saying, yeah, Michael Myers just murders this guy randomly at the trash station the gas station for no reason. There was no reason for it, and I thought it was dumb. Then he drives. Then he goes back to his house. He has a knife that he had stashed in under his room. He puts his current mask on, which was used in the move, which was used earlier when Steve was going to use it to have sex with Judith. Laurie Strode goes over to the house, and Tommy tells her about the boogeyman. We know about that scene. She puts the key in the door, acts like Laurie Strode acts like she's scared of it, acts like someone's grabbing her, but it's not. Laurie Strode was I want to say was played by Scott Taylor Compton. She didn't really do that great of a job playing Laurie Strode. Jamie Lee Curtis did much better, and I don't really think that Rob Zombie really explored the characters of all the teenage girls in the movie. Once the movie went to the original, once he had to do that part, he just every girl pretty much was the same. They all were boy crazy, and it was the exact same. Laurie Strode, though, in the other movie, kind of was a social outcast. She wasn't a complete social outcast, but she really wasn't as into being social, and Annie was like the person that always got him into trouble, but you really wouldn't know that from this movie because every character was the same. So it was very stupid. And I didn't like that part of the movie. So I'm not going to really break down the rest of the movie because it's about the same stuff. The stuff that's different is when Loomis tries to warn Sheriff Brackett about everything. Sheriff Brackett, reveals that he actually didn't like Dr. Loomis because he knows him from his book about Michael Myers. In this movie, actually, Dr. Loomis wrote a book about it. Laurie Strode, actually, when they Annie wants to go pick up her friend, her boyfriend, Paul. It actually gets talked about in the library versus it just randomly happening later on in the movie. And then Michael Myers, instead, I'm trying to remember who they were. It's been a while since I've It's been a while. Yeah, I know I've just saw this movie, but I don't remember this character's name. I'm trying to see if I can look it up real quick. Just give me a second. I thought I... What sucks is this one... The Wikipedia version on this one doesn't have the actually, yeah, so I thought it was her. Linda and Paul actually in this movie, instead of having sex where Annie was babysitting, they just go right into the Michael Myers house and do so. They did reenact the whole cheerleading scene where they were talking about that. Instead of seeing Michael Myers actually driving the car, they actually just see him watching him. Like I said, they just see him watching him and Michael Myers, and they pretty much call him a perv and stuff. And Michael Myers just walks away. They kill Michael Myers. They reenacted the scene where they were just having sex in his house, and Michael Myers, of course, gets pissed about this. Paul tries to come in and be not Paul. Tommy. What was his name? I don't remember his name now. Bob. Tries to come in and do the whole scene. They actually did reenact the scene where Michael Myers dresses up with the sheet over his head like a ghost and puts Paul's glasses on. He does murder him in this movie. I think he just chokes him and stabs him through the wall. In the movie, that was about the same. And they reenact the whole scene where Annie goes, where Annie flashes him and says, "See anything you like." And in this film, they actually had Michael Myers hand her the beer, which was pretty funny. But then Michael Myers murders her, and then he carries her dead body, and you were kind of left to wonder how they were gonna, because in this movie, Tommy Doyle actually sees Michael Myers walk with Annie's dead body. You were gonna kind of wonder how that was gonna happen in this movie, since it didn't happen where it happened before. But then Laurie Strode is talking to her mom and dad. She goes off to go babysit, and Michael Myers randomly decides to kill her parents. He murders the father, and then she murders her mom, his mother. He stabs her repeatedly. It looked pretty gruesome. She tries to call the cops, and he shows a picture of Laurie, and obviously being a mother was trying to be protective, and obviously kills her. So then they reenact the whole, and then instead, Annie and Paul get murdered by Michael Myers. Michael Myers murders Paul, just slices his throat. Then he repeatedly stabs Annie. She tries to go call the cops, or tries to warn someone, but repeatedly stabs her. Laurie goes to take Lindsay home, and she sees Paul Hayden up being hung with a pumpkin on his head, and Annie murdered. But then Michael Myers, we see him watching. Michael Myers chases Laurie. They reenact the scene where Laurie has to break the chair and get out through the window, just like they did in the original. This time in the scene when Laurie, Tommy, and Lindsay hide in the bathroom instead of the closet, they completely cut out kind of the whole closet scene. They kind of reenacted it, but didn't fully go into it. And then the police this time show up. Michael Myers kills both of them. One of the cops tried to get their attention. Michael Myers banged his head off the door and broke through the glass door, and then he murdered the other cop. He takes Laurie as a hostage, and he had the perfect chance to murder Laurie, because obviously we know that's what he's there for. But Rob Zombie wanted it to make it seem like, was he there for that, or was he there because he loved her and he wanted, to be with his sister and stuff. Which I didn't really like that a lot, because obviously that kind of takes away from the whole reason this movie happens to begin with. And it was just dumb. And he shows the picture, and the rest is different. Michael Myers shows the picture of them together as a kid. Obviously, Laurie doesn't remember because she was like a baby when this was taken. So Michael Myers drops his knife, takes off his mask, and acts human again. And Laurie pretends to go along with it. She stabs him with a knife and right through the shoulder, tries to escape. Michael Myers continuously goes after her. Now at this point, we know he's gonna murder her. And then she falls in like where a swimming pool would be, and Michael Myers goes to kill her. Dr. Loomis pops up because he sees Tommy and Lindsay. They reenacted the whole scene where she screamed at Dr. Loomis. Instead, Dr. Loomis has to go all the way to Michael Myers' house. They reenact the scene where he shoots him 6 times, and then they take him in the police car. Laurie Strode then asks, they reenact the scene where she asks if that was the boogeyman. He says, I believe it was. Instead, Michael Myers pops up and tries to murder Laurie. He pulls her right out of the police car. Dr. Loomis says to spare her life, and you should be mad at me because I'm the one that failed you. Michael Myers crushes his head, and Laurie keeps trying to escape. She hides from Michael Myers. They did reenact the scene where he cuts down the blinds of the closet door, so I like that. She grabs the gun from Dr. Loomis, and she goes up towards the attic. Michael Myers grabs like a piece of wood and tries to cut his way so that way she would fall. Eventually she does fall. She falls in the other room. Michael Myers sees her. Michael Myers tackles himself off the out the window, and she's all bloody, and they build up the suspense like she was gonna shoot him, and she eventually does and starts screaming, and then that was the end of the movie. And yeah, this movie, my opinion, I thought was not good. The movie's 2 hours long, and it just drags at points. I don't really think I didn't mind. I didn't mind the element where they went through Michael Myers' backstory. But I didn't really care for the fact that they were trying to give him sympathy, because what made Michael Myers seem so cool was that you didn't really know his backstory. You just knew that somehow he was a psychopath. I thought the actors weren't really that great in this movie. Now, maybe that's because the original one just has better actors, and seeing Dr. Loomis not be played by Donald Pleasance just isn't the same. Laurie Strode being played by I just don't remember her name. Just give me a second. By Scott Taylor Compton. I thought Laurie Strode, just the character just kind of fell flat. and the movie it just didn't really feel like a Halloween movie. It just kind of felt like a blood, guts, and sex movie, and it just didn't really, I don't think, did a better job as the remake. I didn't really think Rob Zombie did a good job producing this movie. But apparently, from what I've read from this movie, some people, the movie actually did very well in box office. It was the most sold movie ever to take place during Labor Day weekend. It was at the top at one point. The movie, the box office, this movie made a box office $80.2 million. This is the most box office that Halloween has had. I don't know about, I haven't read the second one remake yet, so I can't really say that, but this movie did $80.2 million, the most of any of the Halloween franchises, at least for the sequels anyways. And it did get knocked down in number 2. It was actually the most, it had the highest box office for a remake up until Nightmare on Elm Street in 2010. This movie was voted the best horror movie of the year in 2007. And the movie did fairly well business-wise. It did very well, but just as in terms of a movie, it wasn't good. I think Rob Zombie didn't really do that good of a job. I just think he mainly just went for the gore instead of the actual storytelling. So I didn't really think Rob Zombie did a good job. It's tough for me to give a rating for this movie. I thought the movie wasn't good. Ironically enough, I actually thought this was worse than Halloween 3. Now, Halloween 3, I don't know actually. I don't know if it was worse than Halloween 3. Because I can at least say this had a better story. It definitely wasn't. I want to give it like a 4 out of 10. Which is really tough because now Halloween 3, it's about the same level as Halloween 3, which is ironic. Halloween 3 was bad too. So yeah, actually this made Halloween 3 come off worse though. This was done, maybe I'll give it like a 4.2. I have to be very specific here. This is a 4.2 because it's worse than the last one. Halloween, it's definitely worse than the Resurrection one because at least the beginning's good. The first hour isn't bad or anything, but it's just I just didn't really care for the way this movie was told, so it's definitely a 4.2. That's very specific, but that's how I roll. I'm a very specific person, so that's pretty much it for my review of this Halloween movie. Now I gotta watch the remake of the second one, and it's done by Rob Zombie again. And oh god, I don't even know what I'm gonna walk into to that, because if it's anything like this one, I'm all set. I also hated the fact that they killed Dr. Loomis off in the first film. I get they wanted to get its own spin on it, but they just killed him right off. Like in the other movie, he was much better. Dr. Loomis couldn't even take his head getting squeezed. The other Dr. Loomis got stabbed. He was thrown through a window. He was thrown. He was drugged. But this Dr. Loomis, yeah, he just dies in the first movie. So this Dr. Loomis wasn't very impressive. Yeah, Rob Zombie did not do a very good job at directing this movie or producing it, and I'm fearful for what I'm about to walk into in the next one. I am fearful, and thank God John Carpenter is going to be taking over, because if we got another Rob Zombie one, I don't even know, but maybe Rob Zombie will produce a better one next time. Now that I've kind of done that, let me go through the cast. Now, like I said, it's not on the Wikipedia version, so I am just going to read it off the, I just found this website, IMDb, that has the full cast. I've already mentioned who plays Dr. Loomis and Laurie, so I won't go into that. Brad Dourif plays Sheriff Lee Brackett. He was not a good Sheriff Lee Brackett. Tyler Mane plays Michael Myers. He was actually a pretty good Michael Myers, actually. I thought he was very well. Dave Foch I don't know how to say his name, plays Michael Myers as a kid, as age 10. I will admit, he did very good job as playing Michael Myers. Sherry Moon Zombie plays Deborah Myers. Did not do a good job. William Forsythe played Ronnie White. Not a good job. Richard Lynch plays Principal Chambers. He wasn't that bad, I guess, but he wasn't in the movie all that much. I'm not gonna say everybody. Daniel Harris plays Annie Brackett. Skylar Geisendoe plays Tommy Doyle. Jenny Gregg Stewart plays Lindsay Wallace. Hannah Hall plays Judith Myers. She was not that good either in this movie. Christina Klebe plays Linda. Adam Wesman plays Steve. He looks like someone that is homeless. Dee Wallace plays Cynthia Strode. Max Van Vale plays Paul. He also looked like a scrub himself. Pat Skipper played Mason Strode, and I'm not going to go through anybody else. You can look up the cast for yourself. But that's pretty much it for my review. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, this movie gets a 4.2. I know it's very specific, but I can't rate it a 4. Can't rate it a 4.5. And it's better than 3, worse than Resurrection. So it's a 4.2. If you don't like that rating, then deal with it. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Please make sure you guys check out my CM Brothers channel for more content, and check out this channel for more content. That's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.